How's it going, everyone? Carpo here, and I'd just like to propose a quick question, and I'm going to try to make this a short video, though whenever I say that it seldom is. I really wanted to get this across while it's still fresh on my mind. And the question I'm asking is, are people today more polarized than we were in the past, but especially relating to what they call millennials? Or let's just say anyone who's either a mid-teenager, maybe 15 to 25 at this point in time. The question I'm asking is, because I know millennials aren't defined by that age group. I'm just saying anyone from their late teens into late 20s, let's say right now. Anyone who is, many people are very outspoken on a lot of issues right now. But there's also a lot of people who seem to be completely ignorant. And so I've heard people saying that the kids of today are more aware and more proactive. People saying that the kids of today are just a bunch of whiners that want their safe spaces. A bunch of liberal pansies. Okay, so it goes both ways. So what I'm asking is, are we changing into anything in particular as a species through this coming generation that exists now in the technological age? Are we becoming worse people or better people? Or are we remaining about consistent with what we have been through history? So I'm going to try to explain and framework where I'm coming from, because I didn't explain that very well. There was a story that someone shared this morning, one of my friends, and it was pretty disturbing. It was about these 4 kids in Florida who were watching a guy drown. And instead of helping him or calling for help, they filmed the whole thing and then they posted it on Facebook. So there's a 2-minute video of this guy drowning. Now, I read the backstory and everything. The guy who drowned had an argument with his fiancée or whatnot, and I guess he had a disability. It shows him basically in the middle of this pond, and you're wondering, was he trying to kill himself? Was he struggling because he fell in? I don't know the full story and the details. But what I do know is that they posted this video on Facebook, and I watched it, this group of kids. And I don't want to get into the racial component of it, because I thought they would be white kids at first, but they were black kids, if that matters at all to anybody. But the guy who was drowning was, I guess he was screaming, and I couldn't really hear him in the video. But I could see that he was struggling, and I thought, how can 4 kids of any racial background, political background, any type of mentality, all of that bullshit aside, these are human beings that are watching someone drown. And here's the thing. They didn't report it afterwards, and they posted the video. The guy had been reported missing. I guess a few days passed before, anything even became of it, that they were aware that this guy had drowned. And I say, you can live in a war-torn area of the world. You can live in a place where people are killing each other left and right, and people still help each other out when they need. In fact, in areas like that, people help each other out more than anywhere, because they know that that could be them. And so I use that story as an example because I wanted to say, using a story like that, somebody in an older generation may say, see, this is the problem today, these damn kids, they don't care about anything. But it wasn't even an hour later I was watching a video about symbiosis. It's an event I'm going to next month. It's where like-minded people get together and dance, and there's music, and it's a week-long festival for the eclipse. And I'm really excited to go, because the type of people that I've met at Soak, which is my regional burn for Burning Man, is the regional Burning Man here, they're all great people. They're all kind. They all help each other, pick up after one another, do everything we can to be a better community and better people. And I see a lot of young people out there who are out there really active, that are helping people. Teenagers who are doing a hell of a lot more than I ever did. They're completely active in their communities, and they're trying to better the world around them, because their access to technology has made them more privy and more aware of what's really going on around them. So here's the thing. We're exposed to the chaos around us more than ever with the technology. Some people choose to use that to try to improve the world, and some people are going to use that as kind of an escape by saying, well, people don't care anymore, I don't give a shit anymore either. I don't know the reasoning behind an individual's choices in their life, but I do know that while some people seem to think we're more polarized, I would say that the younger generation, some people are super helpful and want to improve the world. Others just saying the world's shit. They treat their elders like shit. Kids screaming at teachers. And, there are a lot of bitch-ass, punk-ass bitch kids out there. Let's just say this. There are a lot of spoiled-ass, whiny teenagers who act like fucking idiots. I've seen so many of them. I've seen videos posted on Facebook of kids screaming at their teachers about their grades, and the way that some of these kids talk to their parents, that is full-on disrespect, and that's bullshit. But I don't think that that's a representative of the larger community. One thing I would like to say is the reason I think what's really changed is that we can vocalize and post the things that we see and the things that are happening. I mean, there are plenty of people who watched people drown back in the 50s, the 60s, the 40s, the 1800s. There are people that were laughing at people being beheaded and people who would gather around to watch people die. It's nothing new. It's nothing new, but it's something that we could hide in the past, but we can't now. And that's really the point I guess I'm getting at, is I don't believe that we're any different, generally, than we ever were before. It's just that we're becoming more polarized because we're more aware of what other people are really thinking. For example, you might go to church and there may be a group of a racist group at your church, and then and your family is not a racist, and you might get along for years and be able to get past the fact that this person feels a certain way and you don't. But then you start seeing people posting things online of hangings, and you start seeing how people really feel, because people are more likely to post how they feel online than talking to their friends in church or at the supermarket. It's just the way that it is. So we're more exposed, and it's a matter of closing our eyes to it, or just realizing this is people, and we don't have to let those few people who would stand by and watch somebody drown represent people as a majority. And so I guess it's not fair to classify anybody. So if I was going to say that it's unfair to classify millennials, I would say it's also unfair to classify Generation X, my generation, or my parents' generation, or those who say, oh, a bunch of old men making decisions for all of us, when, usually that's, I can completely agree with that. But then there are some people who are wizened by age. It takes a while for you to really gain the wisdom of the world to say, how does the world really operate? But today that's changing. We can't associate wisdom merely with age. Today we can associate wisdom with experience, of course, but knowledge is based on how much can you consume, how many facts can you be aware of, and just as many of these supposedly old, wise, white guys are just a bunch of dumbasses who really don't research anything. They just assume that they know better. And that polarizes them against the more liberal-minded people who, because the same thing's happening there. There used to be communication among different political lines and parties. We had our differences, let's say, but we could get past them to discuss things. Now it's just a slap in the face to everybody. It seems that everybody is pushing themselves to the extreme. And if you remain in the center, you just get stretched apart because everybody wants you to take a side. I'm fortunate that I guess I see things from both sides. I find myself more liberal-minded, but I dare not associate myself with, any type of social justice warrior movement or anything. I'm just a human who respects other humans and human life, and would hope that the parents of today are teaching their children that, instead of raising them to be a bunch of whiners that want their safe space and expect everybody to suppress free speech, and if it's not something they want to hear. And there are a lot of people out there like that. They definitely don't represent the whole. So, not much else I can say about it. I guess it was just my thoughts on the whole thing. So I'll talk to you all later, and have a wonderful day.